Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Precision Automobile Club Esports Porsche Cup by Eagle Speed Academy. It's round number 3 of Season 3, and tonight the drivers are being welcomed to the Green Hell. It is the Nordschleife today. My name is Dan Field. Alongside me today is Alexa Marshall, and on the production side of things, it is Samuli Kumo. Alexa, what can we say about this circuit? It is aptly named by Jackie Stewart, the Green Hell, for a reason. This circuit is a nightmare.
Or some people call it a nightmare, but others may call it home. You see so many series come to this circuit. It's because it's just one of the most legendary. 24 hours of Nordschleife is never unforgettable. Or, however, of course, it does have those contenders around the world. Personally, for me, one of my favourites. GP circuit, love it. Nordschleife, it brings that moment where you have got to test the driver's skill. Realistically, as IRL drivers will say, you're not really racing others around this circuit, you're racing the track itself. So I feel like if they can conquer this track tonight, then they are very deserved of whatever position they finish.
Absolutely. This is a circuit steeped in history, and the construction of the dedicated circuit was around about 1925. So 100-year history has this circuit. And of course, we are headed in towards round number 3, nearing the halfway point of the season. We should have a little look at the championship so far. And the pro class has been dominated by one driver. Hadi Noah Mamasi has not lost a race so far this season. He won the sprint and the main race at the Red Bull Ring, and then the sprint and the main race at Imola. He sits atop of the standings on 170 points, with Jentel van Tuylen behind him on 133. Miles Hemming sits third on 101, and it's Felix Votter on 92 behind. Corey Lazarus is close on 87, with Vince Peters sixth in 7 with 73. And then Christophe Herbenot sits on 43, Hugo Allen on 34, and Bernardo Faria rounds out the pro category on just 10 points. In the Pro-Am side of things, it has been Maiko van Luck who has been able to take an early lead. He was level with Yannick Mühleman last time out in Imola, but a good week from him puts him atop with 79. It's Mühleman in second position on 57, just 4 points ahead of Matthew Collin, and then who's a further 1 point ahead of Bas van der Klei. Luke Andrews made his season debut last time out and already shoots himself up into 5th position on 48 points, with Yannick Dinish just 1 point back on 47. It's Angela Verse in 7th, with Jeffrey Ross in 8th, and then Ryan Walker and Daniel Fleischer round out the top 10. Gordon Marshall sits 11th position, with Lucas Romano in 12th, and then Max Engstrom rounding out the Pro-Am category. And then in the amateur class, it is Steve Clays, after a fantastic race last time out in Imola, sitting just 2 points ahead of Chris Van Gut in the amateur category, with Yellover Stratton sitting third on 16. Navarro de Bova sits in 4th position on 14, with Lawrence de Vlieger on 12 points. Dirk Boots is 6th on 8, and then Max Nevinciani sits 7th on 5, yet to score points so far, rounds out the entire field. But Alexa, coming into today as qualifying is underway, I mean, you were touching on it just before, the Nordschleife really is a different beast.
Yeah, and I think another thing that is going to be adding to this is, if people are new to Porsche Cup cars, there's no TC and there's no ABS on these things, so it is really going to be a challenge. Heck, even I struggle with TC and ABS around here. So these drivers, as you head through and into Foxhole, into the right-hander on the exit, try not to run into the gravel as we're on board with Dante Olivia, is going to be... It's definitely going to be an interesting one. Qualifying, it's going to set the pace, but at a circuit like this, that's going to set you up so you can hold it through GP. When you get into the actual Green Hell section, when you're on the when you're on the roads and it gets a lot more bumpy and you're going over all this graffiti that you see around here, it's never one to miss. That's going to be the real challenge as we head through the second carousel. And of course, I think this is going to be another thing that these drivers appreciate. You're turning basically the entirety of this lap. Only really down this back straight, which we're now coming onto, and the main straight, you get a little bit of respite from that steering wheel.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can see as we're riding on board with Dante Oliver, yet to score points so far this season, how much he's having to correct the steering, correct his throttle adjustment. It really can be a tricky circuit to master. Both the sprint race and the main race will be the exact same number of laps today. It's going to be just 3 laps around the Nordschleife. It's combined, of course, with the Grand Prix circuit, so they should get a little nice run for the beginning of it, and then really set themselves up for the Green Hell section. As now coming towards the end of the lap is Dante Oliver into the chicane. Can be so tricky to get the braking done through there, but honestly, this circuit is absolutely terrifying, and he will come across the line in just a few moments' time. Currently sitting in 13th position. He'll drop as Van der Klei goes into 10th, as Mühleman goes up another spot, as does Andrews, and Oliver goes into P12. Leading the amateur category at the minute. I mean, he'll need this after not scoring any points so far this season.
I think that's going to be one of the things that they're going to be looking at here as well. Trying to get points on the board, because surely if there's any race that you want to win to give yourself a margin, it's going to be this one. Like, I feel like if you can grapple the Nordschleifer, as they are currently doing, then that's going to give a massive momentum boost to you throughout the rest of the season. Honestly, if you're going to win any and you want to win any, it has to be this one, as there is Hadi, Noah, Mimasi, as they are currently sitting up top. 7 minute 56, 791. That is over 2 seconds ahead of Felix Votter. So if anybody's got the momentum right now, it is Hadi.
Absolutely. I mean, Hadi Noah Mamasi wasn't even meant to start this season, but came in as a reserve driver for another and was touted as a decent replacement. And I think decent is a cruel understatement of how strong Mamasi has been so far this season. You were talking about winning, and we cut to Hadi Noah Mamasi. I mean, it is poetry in motion. He'll come across the line, not able to improve on that. Actually, I think there was a slight improvement on that lap. Indeed, there was. Still 7 minutes 56 seconds and 4/10. He is 1.8 ahead of Felix Votter, who has also set a lap time to go 1.8 behind him. Here is Yannick Muleman, as it stands at the minute, second in the Pro-Am category. Would love to have a good race in comparison to Maiko Van Luck. These two were level on points going into Imola last time out, but it was Van Luck to take advantage. But of course, the Nordschleifer could be so unpredictable, and I think Yannick Muleman will be looking for a good race in comparison to his rival.
Yeah, I mean, no better place. You let me say that a lot. It's never really hard to it's never really hard to understate Nordschleifer, is it? Because in realistic terms, the only place that can possibly compare is Le Mans, but Nordschleifer, it's just a different beast with all this greenery around you. A little bit of a jump there, actually, going over the crest, but chasing down your rival, that is definitely going to be a good look into the rest of the season, especially tonight, because I feel like this is where the picture is really going to start to show. More that you're facing against each other, more you're going to learn about how each other drives. A little bit you may learn where they make more mistakes and where they possibly can be, of course, compromised, and you can capitalise on that as we head all over these curbs right here. Like you said, there is Yannick Muleman, and they're making their way through. This is the thing about this circuit as well, though, Dan. We're not going to see many lap times. It's going to be a surprise when they do come in because of how long this circuit is.
Yeah, I think in qualifying, you're not really going to be able to run into anyone whatsoever as we go from one title rival in the Pro-Am category to another. Maiko Van Luck has had a stellar season so far, sits 6th overall, ahead of the likes of Vince Peters, Christophe Herbinot, Hugo Allen. These are all pro drivers, and Maiko really does not play the game all that much. If you have a look at his iRating, it's 2,100, and he's mixing it in with these 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 drivers. He is fantastic, and he only really practices when he can. As Bernardo Faria, absent last time out, is able to come across the line into P10. Lucas Romano goes 15th position. I'd love to see what Faria can do. Of course, the Red Bull Ring was a difficult race for him, only 10 points, and that came, I believe, exclusively from the sprint. He DNF'd in the main race. That was a difficult pill to swallow. Didn't turn up last time out in Imola. We do have a couple of absences here today. We've got Max Engstrom, a second race he's missing in a row. He is in the server, but he can't drive due to stutters. Vince Peters won't be racing today, didn't actually give a reason. Steve Clays, of course, owner of the Eagle Speed Academy, a fantastic service that sponsors the Porsche Cup. He is not racing here today. His work is unfortunately giving him a late shift. Daniel Fleischer is sick, not able to race, and then Matthew Collin will be attending but might be late to qualifying, so we should have about 27 drivers on the grid with us this evening. Here is Corey Lazarus then. A difficult time last time out in Imola. Was involved in that massive melee down in the Tosa, I believe it was, at the beginning of the main race. I mean, this is a circuit where carnage is very, very possible in the early stages.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. You have the GP circuit, of course, you go through the Mercedes arena, down towards the hairpin, through Schumacher S. That's usually what most people would know. Like, if you go to somebody who is probably not a racing fan, and you ask them to name a circuit in Germany, they'll probably say Nurburgring, but almost likely they will say the Nordschleife, because it's just one of those things. It's known and it is popular, but just taming it is like, it's a different matter, because you've got to know every single corner, how it drives, how it fares, and even then, you go through it one time, it's going to be different the next, simply because of either temperature variations, weather variations, issues with your car due to tyre degradation. Realistically, this circuit is never the same, and lap 1 is when every single piece of your car is going to be in prime condition. So I would say lap 1, everybody's going to be trying as hard as they can, because the later you get into it, the more it's going to be a bit of damage control, and you don't really want to be pushing your car too much, as forever exclusive with this green hell, there is always a bit of grass or a barrier or a curb which is extremely high to send you straight off and into the stratosphere.
Absolutely, it is really a killer. And of course, normally we have 10 minutes of qualifying. We've had to up it to 30 minutes just so everyone could actually get around for a lap. You wouldn't be able to actually do it in any other situation. So yeah, everyone is able to get their time on the board. We've only seen 21 thus far. We are riding on board with Chris Van Gutten. Now we actually switch over to Yannick Denish, headed in towards, you know what, I'm not even going to try to bother to name any of these cores whatsoever. This is just such a long circuit. I believe it's 20 kilometers in total with 300 meters of elevation change. It really is a different beast, and probably the only circuit in the world that has kilometer markers to mark out where you are on the circuit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so long. It's 20.830 kilometers, 12.943 miles. So that's how long it is for you. And you got the exclusive corners, the one which wasn't going to try. That is Foxhole. The reason it's called that is mainly because it's a hole. You go over it, and unless you brake a lot, your car will be going airborne for a moment. Of course, ever exclusive, the carousel at the back end of the circuit, the second carousel, just before you go into the final straight, which we are now going down. If I remember correctly, it is the Donahue. It is. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it like you didn't, Foxhole. And of course, you've also got Flugparts. Flugparts and Carousel, probably the most infamous. Carousel because of its banking. However, of course, with Jean Marlenborough back a few years back, it's Flugparts, aka Airfield, because if you're going fast enough and you don't have enough downforce, your car can go airborne. And of course, you had the incident with Jean Marlenborough where his Nissan would go up on two wheels and into the fans. So that is. So you've also got to be careful of this circuit just in general. Thankfully, we can't go through barriers here, which is a good thing. This is sim racing. So, but those are the other exclusive corners, as there is Lucas Ramona, who is on the side of the circuit.
Interesting place to park the car, but we've seen a couple of more laps coming in just a couple of moments ago. Gordon Marshall has been able to go into 5th position. He was involved in multiple incidents his last time out in Imola. Bernardo Faria is, I'd imagine, pretty disappointed with this qualifying lap so far. 6.2 seconds off the pace as it stands. Nevertheless, he's going to give everything. Corey Lazarus as well, 7.9 to the rear of Hadi Noah Mamasi. Of course, these amateur ratings, they are not dictating completely of how quick someone is. I mean, take Michael Van Look. He's a pro-am driver, but he's mixing it in with all of the pros. You really just have to consider it to be experience. You know, all the experienced drivers are racing in the pro categories, and then maybe some of the lesser experienced runners, they are in the amateurs. As here comes Corey Lazarus towards the start-finish line to complete this lap. It is an 8-minute 2.8, so I would imagine a disappointing lap time from him. He's going to do a little burnout to signify that he is done. I mean, we've only got 2 minutes left of qualifying, so I wouldn't imagine that we will see many more lap times coming through. Here is Bernardo Faria taking us on board with him, and you see how bumpy this car is. He really is doing his best to hang on at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you got to do at the end of the day, isn't it? Just hold on, keep it on the circuit, keep it within the black stuff. You see these curbs on the right-hand side. If anything is going to be affecting these drivers tonight, it is going to be those, because one touch in a slightly wrong angle and you are going to be losing loads of downforce. You just see there, using it maybe as a bit of momentum going up on the curb, and then it throws the car on the outside, but that brings more momentum to this back straight. However, that may actually cost them, as down the back straight, it's pedal to the metal, foot to the floor. You're reaching the revs and you're going faster and faster, already at 260 kilometers an hour. Convert that to miles per hour for somebody, and going at 270, and it maxed out at 270. So 269, 270. That is how quick these cars are going down the back straight. But you've also got to remember, you may go a little faster with toe as gravity kicks in up to 277, 278, and into the braking, left, right, heavy on the brake pedal, and into the final few corners, through the right-hander in second gear, into the left-hander, onto the main straight, hop it into third. This is Bernardo Faria. He's going to come to the line here at the Nordschleife, fifth gear to the line. And it looks like it will be P3 with an 8-minute .2. So, second row, I would be very happy with that if I were him, because that's going to set him up perfectly for the first corner and in the first race.
Absolutely. I think Bernardo Faria, after a disappointing start to the season, would really appreciate a good result here today at the Nordschleife, but no one is able to trump Hadi Noah Mamasi once again. A 7-minute 56.4 from him puts him on pole position ahead of Felix Votter, the only two drivers who were able to do a sub 8-minute lap time. Now, a little touch on the scheduling today. Of course, we've got the sprint race and the main race. They are both 3 laps each. Qualifying is just about to come to an end very, very shortly. We are still using the same point system as normal. So it is 25 points for a win in the sprint race, then 22, 20, 18, so on and so forth. And then, of course, is 50 for a win in the main race, then 45, 40, 37, 34, so on and so forth. So the main race still is the main attraction today. But of course, they're the exact same laps. It's the exact same number of laps as the main race. So that's just a little thing to touch on. But it is Hadi Noah Mamasi on pole once again. He looks so untouchable this season.
Indeed he does. Indeed he does. I mean, this is my first time in the box for this series, and if qualifying's anything to go off, it looks absolutely amazing. Line up on pole position, like you said. Hadi Noah Mamasi lines up P number 1, 7-minute 56.4, followed by Felix Votter with Bernardo Faria lining up second row with Jenti van Vielen alongside. Then Miles Hemming, Gordon Marshall, Hugo Allen, Janish Danash, Luke Andrews. It's then going to be Yannick Moolman, Angelo Lorisse, then Corey Lazarus to round out the first page. That's P number 12. It's then gonna be P number 13 of Michael Van Look with Ban van der Klee in P number 14. Dante Oliva in P number 15 with Lucas Ramano in P number 16. P number 17 goes to Jeffrey Boss with Chris Van Kugt in P number 18. P number 19 goes to Joel Verstranen with Lores de Vilga in P number 20. P number 21, Varo de Bruve with Matthew Collin in P number 22. Then it's Enstrom in P number 23, Ryan Walker P number 24. And at P number 25, Max Nevin Shani. So that is going to round out the grid. It seems like they're about to hop on it in just a second, because we are currently looking around this absolutely pristine circuit. You can see them right there, Dan.
Yep, we are getting ready for 3 laps of the Nurburgring Nordschleife. This is a fantastic circuit, steeped in history, and so many series can call it home. And we are taking the Porsche Cup cars here today. It is Hadi Noah Mamasi on pole position ahead of Felix Votter in this race. Votter, of course, struggled last time out in Imola, but so far the season has just been Hadi Noah Mamasi. He has won every single race that we have had. He has been on pole each and every single time. Can he continue that winning trend here today as the lights come on, the revs rise, and we are green here hit the Nordschleifer. It is a brilliant getaway from Hadi Noah Mamasi, headed in towards the first corner. Bernardo Faria feeling the pressure from Jentel van Tuylen as they approach turn number 1 for the first time. Faria is wide and Van Tuylen is going to sneak through. He'll have the outside line as they head in towards turn number 2 and 3. Faria's going to hold on for the time being. They swap and change positions further back behind. Hugo Allen is around the outside. That's Gordon Marshall, I believe that is, getting involved in a slight touch up there, but he's been able to keep on going. But it's Hadi Noah Mamasi leading the way.
Out the Mercedes arena, it's free abreast there momentarily. Marshall round the inside. Oh, that is going to be Yannick Danish, actually. Marshall was on the outside, aka the left side of the screen, but Danish getting clipped there, which will send him round. And now we go around one more time. Gonna have Van Hucht right behind him as well, trying to fight past. Surely you're going to imagine there's going to be a little bit of rear right damage there, or possibly rear left with that tap. There is Michael Van Look, who is currently continuously trying to fight his way through. Van Den Klee in right there alongside him, down towards the braking zone as we head into the chicane. Get ready, because the Nordschleifer's coming up as eyes contact, and off the track goes Van Den Klee.
How did he hold on to that when he had to take a slight excursion to the gravel? That could have been so much worse. He could have been right into the front of all the drivers around him. Matthew Collin is struggling on the traction. Of course, no TC in these Porsche Cup cars. It is just you and the vehicle wrestling your way around the Nordschleifer. It's been a bit of an argy-bargy start so far as they take towards the green hill. Here is Hadi Noah Mamasi, and I think for Felix Votter, this is a best case scenario. Keep him within your crosshairs. We have seen how dominant Hadi Noah Mamasi has been so far this season. I think we could take a slight breather as we begin the Nordschleifer. We've seen how dominant he has been, but this track will really prove if he is a perfect robot or if he indeed is human. Bernardo Faria, he did a fantastic job of staying ahead of Jentel van Tuylen at the first corner. It looked a little bit rough from him there. As we see Hugo Allen, he's shaping up a move on Miles Hemming.
Yeah, looks for the outside line, going to move to the right hand side, going to go on the grass there a little bit. Dirk being kicked into the sky, onto the inside in the left-hander, and nothing there for the moment. Of course, we would see a car go off here into the gravel in qualifying in real life, but thankfully they make it through both cleanly this time round. As we move towards the front, Felix Votter has, of course, Mamasi right in his windshield.
I think Hadi Noah Mamasi must have made a mistake, as now they are headed in towards a little bit of a twisty section of this circuit. I think Felix Votter is definitely smelling some blood in the water. He's right on the tail of Hadi Noah Mamasi. They haven't broken away from the pack like they normally do at the moment. Bernardo Faria still just 1.1 behind Mamasi at the moment. And so they continue, they follow along each other as we head towards around about the halfway point of this circuit. I absolutely love the elevation change we're going to take to a downhill right-hander, heavy on the brakes, down in towards second gear. And Votter, he looks confident on the back of Mamasi. I think that is the main thing that he's got to take into this race, because everyone knows how strong Mamasi has been so far this season. But if you can keep with him, maybe, just maybe, he'll make a mistake somewhere along the road and you could be right there to take advantage.
Well, down as gravity kicks in through the left-hander and into the right-hander once again, using the advantage, keeping him in the windshield, like you said, because you'll be able to see what line he is taking and possibly copy. There is Bernardo Faria with Jentel van Tuylen just behind him as well. So they're going to be hounding, trying to get onto that final podium place here in the sprint, but continuously chasing him down, using the advantage. The clean air and the tow is definitely going to be a big advantage here, because you're able to follow the driver a lot more easier. You lose that tow and you are going to be fighting the atmosphere. Trying to make their way through as they go wheel to wheel, side by side there momentarily. Still going to be side by side, looking for the outside line as Van Den Klee gets past Colin a little bit further back. Going to be on the outside now, still holding that line. Inside line there is for Faria, but that is Van Tuylen who gets an absolutely lovely move done right there.
Nice stuff there from Jentel van Tuylen, but for Bernardo Faria is not done yet, and he's looking to stick a nose in there, and he's found a gap. He's going to back out for the time being, but that was a nice little scrap as we look further back down the orders. This is Luke Andrews getting through on Yannick Muleman, I believe it is. Yes, it is Yannick Muleman, as this is for the lead actually in the Pro-Am category. Of course, it is worth mentioning the top 8 get reverse grid essentially, so if you finish in 8th position for the main race, you'll be starting on pole. So these two are fighting what is effectively a front row in the main race as we head towards, I believe this is the Klein's Carousel, right before the long back straight to complete the first lap. And although this is an 8-minute run, it really has flown by quite quickly, and we've seen some great battling so far. Apologies, that was the first really? That was the first carousel? Yeah. Oh my goodness me.
Yes, it was, Dan. That was the first carousel. It doesn't feel like it, though, because of how long this circuit is. We're only 15 kilometres in of the 20, so we've still got another 5 kilometres to go until we get towards the end. All across these curbs as you head down towards Foxhole. That's going to be, in my opinion, that's the biggest challenge of this circuit is Foxhole. Wrong move, and your engine is gone. So you really have to be careful about this as Danish gets past Verstappen a little bit further back. I apologise for bad pronunciations. And Corey Lazarus right now making his way through there. There is Oliver with Dante Oliva, currently P number 15 overall, chasing down Ross. However, Oliva is leading the amateur category with a three cars in between him and Verstappen. So they've got a nice little margin right now as we head through the left-hander and down into Foxhole. A little bit of a jump as long as you keep it clean. Try not to ruin the engine, but it looks like they've kept it going. Didn't hear any splutters, so lovely and tidy through this first lap. They are really keeping these cars under control. However, these wheels are moving about quite a bit, so I do wonder if that's them fighting the car or if that's just how high they've got their force feedback.
Absolutely. I mean, so many drivers when we ride on board. I think everyone has really been struggling. This is a bumpy circuit. Look at the undulation around this track and how it just dives into the corners. It's not natural for the car because, of course, they lean the opposite way to what you're turning. But here's an issue for Hugo Allen. He's got some damage. I think on the left front there. We'll see what happens as we are down the back straight. Coming towards the end of the first lap. He was involved in an incident somewhere. I'd like to get a replay of what happened, but that is not what you want to see. Here we are having a look at what the incident was. Does he make a mistake somewhere along the road? Does he get into contact? Luke Andrews and Muleman are fighting right behind him. I think he might just get this one a little bit wrong on his own accord. As there's snap from the steering wheel, and he completely puts it in the wall, and I would imagine he's got some pretty big damage.
Yeah, big hit there on the left-hand side of the car going through. Wasn't even a touch of the curb, just mid-corner, wheel snaps and damage gets picked up. At the end of lap number 1, Handy Noah Mamasi leads, followed by Felix Votter and Bernardo Faria in the overall. That's the podium. Then the top 3 in Pro-Am is Marshall, Andrews, Muleman. But right now, Marshall is having to do a good defence here because he's got Andrews and Muleman who are right along the back of him as we head now down into the Mercedes arena. Danish and Cullen coming to the end of their lap times, seeing the lap times pop up. We're 8 minutes of a lap time in it here, 8 minutes and a third realistically, so these are long lap times around the Nordschleife, but still it is Marshall, Andrews and Muleman top 3 for the Pro-Ams, as this is wheel to wheel, side by side between Colin and Danish.
Danish really trying to fight his way back up the order, and he's been able to get through on Matthew Collin, and it's good to see him back in the session. Of course, we weren't sure if he was actually going to be racing today, so it's good to see him here on circuit. They are battling for some of the minor positions, 17th and 18th place, but Yannick Danish just a lap ago was in and off the circuit. So it's good to see him still racing in this one. We have only lost Engstrom so far, but he never started this race in the first place. We're checking back in with Jentel van Tuylen and Bernardo Faria as they are exiting the Nurburgring section and in towards the green hell they take, and already the elevation change begins to kick in. Van Tuylen has been fantastic so far this season. Bernardo Faria has been struggling. Van Tuylen at the minute, he's second in the standings, 37 points behind Hadi Noah Mamasi, who looks invincible at the minute. But Jentel van Tuylen, he's given it a good effort today.
Indeed he is. He is looking all over. He's trying to keep that car on the circuit. Faria's continuously hounding him from behind. The Belgium driver is putting up a good defence here, though, keeping it clean across the circuit as you begin the run one more time. This is where Faria could set up a move, and they are going to try to begin to run as pedal to the metal. Foot goes to the floor as you head down towards Flood Parts, up through Airfield, into the right-hander, but it's still going to be Faria who will have to sit behind. Did not want to try it around the outside there. We saw we saw in real life what happened when something goes wrong there. So they do not want the same to happen to them. What happened to Dacia in real life, but still wheel to wheel. Faria is right there alongside him, but Van Vielen is doing absolutely stellar defense here, Dan.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Jentel Van Vielen, and fair play as well to Bernardo Faria, really taking the fight in every single way that he can. It's been a spectacular showing from both of these two, and it looks like Faria has once again got a run, headed downhill, now climbing back up. He's looking for a move. Had to back out in the braking zone there. That would have tightened up on him very, very quickly, and of course they would have made some pretty major contact. Nevertheless, they continue towards I believe the northernmost point of the circuit. They're nearing Bergwerk now, if I really hope I've got that one right. Nevertheless, Faria, he's doing everything that he can. These two have been completely dropped by the top two. It's good to see that Felix Votter, he's still keeping Hadi Noah Mamasi company at the front, and I wonder if we will see a battle very, very soon. But this one still rages on between Faria and Van Vielen, neither of them giving an inch.
Yeah, you can see Faria here. He's constantly looking to that inside line, maybe trying and possibly sizing up a move. But it's just not there for him at the moment, because when you come around a circuit like this and you're constantly turning, one minute you're on the inside, next moment you're on the outside and you're having to put more momentum into it. As you head down, it's through gravity where you're going to pick up a little bit of extra speed, sitting around second, third and fourth gear consistently around the early parts of this circuit and in the middle part as well. So through the left-hander, past all the barriers, as I'm pretty sure we just went through the outskirts of a village there. I'm really testing my German landscape knowledge there. But as you head once again, that's a little bit of a grass there though. Is Faria possibly going into the grass a bit? Because if he is, then that's going to be slowing him down quite a bit.
Yeah, getting his tyres dirty as well. It's going to lead to a loss of grip on corner exit. Of course, that's the last thing that you want, absolutely. So, Bernardo Faria maybe got to reel it in just a little bit as he continues his assault on Van Vielen in front of him. This has been pretty much a full lap now of battling, and once again Faria will look towards the inside, headed in towards this short little straight, and I think he's finally got the edge around the outside for the next left-hander. No, Van Vielen, this is stoic defending. Daniel Hemming is, Miles, where have I got Daniel from? Miles Hemming is right behind them as well. He is in the battle for third position, the final spot on the podium. This is really turning into a nice fight at the minute. And again, there's a mistake from Faria, who takes too much of the grass, and he's vulnerable to Hemming.
Down through carousel, he's going to be all over the back now, is Hemming, up and through, trying to use that toe and slip, get under that rear wing and choose the moment. The navy and the purple beginning to clash. However, as you go over the AstroTurf instead of the actual grass, big rear end lock into the barrier, contact between the two. Hemming is round, Faria is round, and he is straight back to the pits. Is Hemming there? Hemming's out there. It was Faria who RTG'd, and now with the toe, so many drivers will fly by. That is the end to a race they would have not wanted. The purple car stays on the side, and Nordschleifer has bit.
Is heartbreaking. Let's have a look from Miles Hemming's point of view. He's following in the wheel tracks of Bernardo Faria, who spins it off the circuit and then hits the wall, comes back in, and just completely obliterates Hemming there. And it's a good avoiding action from everyone else, and it's great from Miles Hemming to completely get off the circuit whilst he's waiting for everyone to go back through. Maybe he's escaped with no, he's been able to. He has unfortunately towed it back to the pit lane, and that is two big challenges there. This will help out Gordon Marshall very nicely. He's essentially been given 2 free positions. and he's almost on a podium position spot. He's been able to jump away from Luke Andrews and Yannick Muehlmann behind him. Corey Lazarus and Hugo Allen are involved in that as well. So wow, I mean, what can we say? Hugo Allen has just been overtaken by Angelo Lavers, and I think Michael Van Look might be trying for a move very, very soon. He's looking up the inside and has been able to get that move done. So Hugo Allen struggling with his damage from a lap ago. Looks like he's beginning to drop down the order.
Yeah, dropping down, and it's not looking good at all. He's now got a lever who's right behind him as well, trying to hound the fellow Porsche, trying to make its way through Porsche and Nord, forever iconic. And now down the back straight, you can also see in the front there is Corey Lazarus, who is having to defend. Loiser, who is going to fly by the Dutchman, is using the advantage, using the extra speed, and it's going to come into their effect. It looks like they're going to hold on to it, or is it not? Corey Lazarus still going to try and go for it, but Van Look is in the background, trying to use the slipstream as they go wheel to wheel. Gonna go free a triangle, heading into the braking zone, wheel to wheel, side by side. Don't come together, and they go back single file in the background there. You also see the black Porsche. I'm trying to remember who that was. I believe it's Romano. So they are holding onto it, and Van Look is still trying, and he's gonna keep on going, as this is your front two. Felix Votter has been holding on to it this entire time as we enter the final round, as we enter the final lap of this first race here at the Nordschleife. And Felix Votter is half a second behind. Is he going to be able to get this move done on the final lap?
I have to wait and see. I was taking note of whilst all that battling was going on, the gap between Mamasi and Votter got to about half a tenth of a second at one point. They were agonisingly close to one another, but Hadino Mamasi was able to hang on to position, and we are on the final lap of this race. This has been spectacular racing for such a difficult circuit, where it's you against the track, and then put yourself in a field with 24 other drivers. It can be so difficult. There is Matthew Collin off the circuit. That's an iffy rejoin there. Luckily no contact with Chris Van Gucht, and Navarro de Bova he got a full windshield full of that. As there's more battling further up ahead. This is Luke Andrews making a move on Gordon Marshall. Marshall has lost quite a bit of time in comparison to last lap by, and Luke Andrews is trying to muscle him out around the outside, looking for a switchback on the exit of the left-hander. That is cinema in motion. Brilliant stuff from Luke Andrews to make that switchback move work. Gordon Marshall did all he could to defend that position. Yannick Muehlmann with the best seat in the house. Luke Andrews takes P4.
That was absolutely lovely to watch, and here is Michael Van Look, this is something that's happened. There is Matthew Collin, who was halfway around. I don't know if he made contact there. He almost made it with two other drivers. Hopefully we'll get a replay on that, because we switched to him and he was just spun around. This is what happens. So coming out off the GP section, don't turn right for GP, turn left for the Nordschleife, and heading down into the braking zone. Is it a tap on the rear left? Yes, it is. Yeah. They get spun around. So that was actually with Chris Van Gucht. So surely something's going to happen in race number 2, because he is going to want to get that place back from that man. But now back to this, what we were watching before we saw the car halfway round of the circuit. Hugo Allen right now looking at Van Look, little airborne there as they head up and through the left-hander now, through and continuously on the outside. We'll now have the inside line. Van Look's going to have to try harder to keep the move there. Going to be alongside the rear left. Now going to keep it tidy. Ross is going to sliver his way through, taking advantage. He gets the move done on Ross, and that is lovely and done. Van Look's also going to lose out to Losa here, so they are losing quite a lot of positions here. This is what happens though when you're in a pack like this. One mistake and you are losing out on those positions, as Hemming has come back out onto the circuit.
Good to see Hemming back out, but he's not going to be able to achieve any points in this race. Very disappointing for him. And this circuit, the way that it feeds in from corner to corner, it can be so difficult to recuperate any time that you've lost through a mistake. And We check back in with the two leaders, Hadi Noah Mamasi and Felix Votter. It seems like Mamasi has gotten the better of Felix Votter. Of course, for the main race, these two will be starting 7th and 8th position. It'll be Votter ahead of Mamasi. As it stands, it will be a front row of pro drivers in race number 2. It will be Hugo Allen on pole ahead of Lazarus. But of course, everything can change. We are barely halfway. We're barely scratching the surface of what this circuit really can achieve. And I'm sure that we will see some great battling right towards the finish of this race. But Hadi Noah Mamasi looking to make it 5 races so far this season out of 5.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm going to say that is a nice looking livery. I do very much like a good looking livery, if I do say so myself, and it makes it even better when you see battles like this. Ross on the back of Allen right now, trying to hound at the car, so it is all to play for. In fact, Lorasay is pounding at Ross, I should say. Allen's just in front of him, so they're battling. We got about a 5-car train here in this fight, so Allen has a little bit of a gap to Ross, but then he's got about 3 or 4 cars astern of him, so they really have to play the cards right here, because if any mistake is going to happen, it's gonna happen on this lap as they're looking to go wheel to wheel, side by side. Lucas Ramona is gonna get a perfect front row seat for this. This is your battle for 9th on circuit. Jeffrey Ross, Angela La Rosa, Michael Van Look, Lucas Ramona, and Yannick Danish is in there as well, with Bas Van Kriel and Dante Oliva also in that fight. But also looking for the rest of the grid here realistically, I do just want to say this. It's been about the same positions, but there have been quite a lot of gains. Biggest loss is Bernardo Faria at 21 positions down since the race start, but it's a tied gain. No, in fact, no, it's a large margin gain. 8 positions up is Jeffrey Ross. Next closest is tied 5 positions up of Corey Lazarus and Luke Andrews. So either way you look at it, majority of the field has lost or gained at least 2 positions here.
Absolutely, the top 2, they've remained in their spot, and Bas van der Klee and Dante Oliver, they have all stayed in the same spot, as has Lawrence de Vliega. This has been a fantastic battle for the lead of the Pro-Am category, the last position off of the podium. It is Luke Andrews still ahead of Gordon Marshall and still ahead of Yannick Muleman. This is what we like to see from Gordon Marshall. He has had a difficult start to this season. At the minute in the point standings, he currently sits in 11th position in the Pro-Am category, but he has had some fantastic pace. He's just been caught out by getting involved in a few incidences, but he's avoided that so far in this sprint. He's running in P6. He's just been overtaken, I believe, by Yannick Muleman. I was looking at all my spreadsheets when I missed an overtake. But still, it's been a great start to this race. Great start to the week for Gordon Marshall. And we are coming to the end of this race. We check back in with Luke Andrews, who now is feeling the pressure from another driver, Yannick Muleman. But I think Luke Andrews, he's done a stellar job once again after missing Red Bull Ring, coming in towards Imola and absolutely smashing it in the Pro-Am category. He's doing a stunning job today.
Yeah, absolutely stunning as they head through second carousel, taking it like it's meant to. You see, you can sometimes see a few drivers go up there. However, this is the interesting part. 2 seconds is the gap as they head down the back straight. Felix Votter is bringing it down, moving across the circuit. Is Hadi Noah Mamasi trying to break that toe as they head down towards the final few corners, because the toe is going to be crucial here for Felix, but it looks like he is not going to get it. Hadi Noah Mamasi into the final corners.
Done a fantastic job once again today, and I don't think Felix Votter has got anything left in the tank. It has been 4 races down and 4 wins for Hadi Noah Mamasi, and it would feel wrong if it wasn't a round number. It is race number 5, another win for Hadi Noah Mamasi. He wins the sprint, or race number 1 if you want to call it that here. He finishes ahead of Felix Votter, and that's Gordon Marshall. Gordon Marshall's got through on Yannick Muleman.
So something happened with 2 drivers there. We saw it just in the background. Loads of drivers coming astern. Something happened there. Corey Lazarus comes 7th, Ross 8th, Allen 9th. Larissa will round out the top 10. We are going to need a replay on that because all we saw was 2 cars side by side, as they are now. Nava de Brover and also going to have Dan Van Liedler. I am so sorry about pronunciations. And they continue here. The action really picking up. We thought there wasn't much because of the front 2, but it's still battling here. Contact a little bit on a tap out the exit. Here comes De Boover versus Vigler. This is to the line.
Wow.
What's happening in those final corners? Because we definitely missed something there. But either way to the drivers, this is what happened. So this is Gordon Marshall. You can see the 2 drivers just in front. He flies through with this into the braking zone. A car does go around. I'm trying to figure out who that is via the car. It is Muellerman. So they end up going sideways, realistically, doing a bit of a drift in the final few. But that is what happened at the end. This is Yannick Muellerman. This is a better angle here. We'll see what happens here. Is there contact, or does he just lose it on his own? Tries the outside, and it was never going to work. Little tap with the barrier. Almost goes into his fellow competitor, but thankfully stays out of him. Ooh, if you wanted an energetic rate, if you wanted an energetic end, you've come to the right place, as Hemming is still making his way around the circuit. I'm going to need more water after that.
We've been warned about of course, how long this race could actually take to finish. Hopefully, Miles Hemming will be able to finish off very, very soon. He's 3 minutes behind Hadi Noah Mamasi, so it could be a little bit of time. He is coming through in towards the last straight. He's just gone through Galgenkopf and on towards the last straight, so we should be very close towards the end. But Miles Hemming, I mean, what a race it could have been for him, because, I mean, that battle right towards the end between, there was so many going on. I think you got to feel for Yannick Muellerman. He had to go for it, really. If you want to win, if you want to have the advantage over Michael Van Look, who is his rival in this championship. He finishes down in 11th position. Muellerman, he wants every single point that he can to catch up and close that 22-point deficit, so you can't fault him at all for going for the move. It's a shame it didn't work out. Gordon Marshall slips through and finishes in P5, and Miles Hemming, once again, he was in such a good position. He had everything right in front of him, and then Bernardo Faria lost the car, unfortunately, in front of him, and there was really nowhere he could go. No fault of his own. He was given some massive, massive damage. He will come through the final corner to finish off this race, and that will conclude race number 1. Hadi Noah Mamasi wins once again. He takes the fastest lap along with it. It was a 7-minute 57 lap from him there. But again, just incredible stuff. We are getting ready for race number 2 here this evening. We will join you very, very shortly after a quick word from our sponsors. Thank you to our sponsors at KGO Automotive and Eagle Speed Academy. What a first race that we have just witnessed. Let's get a look at the results so we can fully digest what has just happened in the pro category. It is Hadinoa Mamasi taking the win. He is 1.7 seconds clear of Felix Votter. Jentel van Teulen rounds off that podium. Corey Lazarus in 4th position. 5th was Hugo Allen. And then Miles Hemming and Bernardo Faria, unfortunately involved in such a massive bit of contact that ruined their races. In the Pro-Am category, it is Luke Andrews taking it ahead of Gordon Marshall and Yannick Muehlemann in what was a 3-car battle for the lead right towards the end. Jeffrey Ross is the bridesmaid in 4th position with Angelo Lovers in 5th. 6th is Michael Van Look, your championship leader in the Pro-Am category. A disappointing race number 1 from him today. Lucas Romano comes in P7. Yannick Dinish, after his lap number 1 incident, finishes in 8th. 9th was Baz van der Klei. Matthew Collin in P10. And rounding off the grid in the Prime category was Ryan Walker. And in the amateur category, we will see the victory going to Dante Oliver, who hadn't scored any points so far this season, come in today and take victory in the amateur category ahead of Chris Van Gut. It's Jeleva Stratton finishing off in P3 with Navarro de Bova in P4. 5th was Lawrence de Vliger, and then Max Nevenchani finishes that in P6. But we've just seen race number 1 that was 3 laps. It is effectively the same in race number 2. Alexa, what can we expect from this race today?
I would say if race number 1 was that energetic, race number 2 is about to turn it up by 10, because final chance for points tonight. So if you're going to have any moment where you can go for it, it's going to be now. And I think another thing that we've also got to take into account is going to be the fact that the top 8 is reversed. Race number 1 may have been a bit of a setup for some drivers. Try and get to P number 8 so that they can get up to P number 1. So then they get P number 1 here to play defensive. But then the drivers who couldn't get there are going to be trying to get further up the field. And then it's the same with the drivers who finished higher up in race 1 but have to be a little bit lower now in race number 2. So everybody's going to be giving it their absolute utmost, and they're all going to be vying for those points, those crucial points that they're going to need in this championship.
Of course, last time in Imola, we saw absolute carnage at the beginning of the main race due to the disparity in pace that some drivers had. It really did bunch up the top 8, and it caused just massive collateral damage. I think if we were doing exclusively the Nordschleife circuit as opposed to the GP, which is a lot wider and a lot more forgiving, I think we could have been in for some real trouble throughout the field. But we should all be okay. So the as previously mentioned, the top 8 will be reversed. That should leave, I believe, Hugo Allen or Yannick Dinish, one of the two, on pole position here today. Although I actually think this is wrong on the timing. So we will see in just a few moments' time what the starting grid is looking like. But absolutely fantastic race number 1 that we have just witnessed, and I can confirm it is Jeffrey Ross on pole position ahead of Corey Lazarus. Yannick Muehlemann starts in P3 ahead of Gordon Marshall. Luke Andrews is 5th ahead of Jentel van Teulen. And then P1 and 2 last in race number 1, Felix Votter and Hadinoa Mamasi 7th and 8th. Hugo Allen unfortunately misses out on the top 8 cut. He starts in 9th ahead of Angelo Lavers. Michael Van Look starts in 11th ahead of Lucas Romano in 12th position. Looking down the rest of the field, we have Yannick Dinish in 13th. 14th is Baz van der Klei, Dante Oliver and Chris Van Gut in 15th and 16th. It's Jeleva Stratton starting alongside Matthew Collin. Navarro de Bova and Lawrence de Vliger round out the top 20. And then it's Ryan Walker, Max Nevenchani, Miles Hemming and Bernardo Faria rounding off your grid tonight. And so we await the start light. It is Jeffrey Ross starting on pole position ahead of Corey Lazarus. Here we go. Race number 1 was a treat for all the viewers. Let's see how race number 2 will fare as we are underway. And it's a brilliant getaway from Jeffrey Ross, headed down in towards the first corner. Corey Lazarus caught napping ever so slightly as we take towards the braking zone for the first time. Corey Lazarus looks towards the outside line as that is Hadi Noah Mamasi trying to go at the inside of Gordon Marshall, who's collected on the outside. Felix Votter's gone around as well, and they're all into the grass and gravel trying to rejoin on circuit. But Bernardo Farias just clattered into the side of Van Gucht, I believe that was, and this has been a scrappy start.
Yeah, Oliver, Black Flag, Van Den Cleer, Black Flag already flying around this circuit. That was opening and that was chaos. Not what many of those drivers would have wanted. Colin is in the background there. You can also see, I believe that is Van Villen trying to go on for Ria, so that is all over the place after that start. Oliva is back to the pit lane. Van der Klee is still out there on the circuit. There is Hadi Noah Mamasi. They are on an absolute charge here now. They have seen what happened there. A little bit of blip in there from Alan. So now, who is going to have the advantage here? You've already seen Mulman looking to go on Lazarus as they head out and through the chicane, but they've got Mimasi right on the rear of them. Tone turn right for GP, left for the Nordschleifer as they head deep into the green hell. Already going to try it on the inside is Mimasi on Mulman, but Mulman's going to have a good defense there. But oh my god, that opening lap, surely we're going to get a replay. Not right now, but in fact, we will get a replay. This is what happened at the start.
So on board with Hadi Noah Mamasi. I mean, this has been the dream getaway for him, and we are just reviewing the start. Here we go with the getaway, and he absolutely nails it. Headed into the first corner, they all bunch up. They try and take up the same bit of road. That is Luke Andrews trying to go up the inside, and then Mamasi tries it himself down the inside, makes a bit of contact with Gordon Marshall, I think overcorrects himself, and clatters into the side of Jentel Van Thielen, who is off the circuit. Felix Votter has to rejoin as well. That sets up everything in motion, which completely changes the way this race has taken place as we go back on board, or we go back to the live feed. Jeffrey Ross already with a massive advantage. There's Lucas Romano off the circuit.
Yeah, already kicking it off. We got to lap 2 when there was a bit of chaos, but now it's already happened on the opening lap. All over the place when Massey gets past Corey Lazarus, so they've got past Mulman. Mulman falls down. It's Hugo Allen and Mulman as well. So what on earth has happened between those two? Off in the beach, Lucas Romano also off on the circuit. That is reminiscent of the qualifying with the Aston in 24 Hours of Nordschleifer in real life, but on a much larger scale. What?
Let's see what happened on the replay then, as we are spectating Yannick Muleman trying to find a move on, that was Van Thielen, no, he's not Van Thielen, that was Lazarus, and then, oh dear, you just don't want to see that whatsoever. And what happened with Lucas Romano? There's another car off the circuit. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, who was that? Flying into it, I think that was De Vlieger, just absolutely...
Is it Steve?
Somersaulting into Lucas Romano. That was incredible. It was indeed Lawrence De Vlieger. Just what happened here?
That is a good question. Goes for the move around the outside, completely loses it. Contact with the barrier. Oh, we know what happens here.
Jesus.
Just finds the curb, and as I was stating, before in qualifying, one touch of the curb, you could get sent into the stratosphere. It seems like my prediction was right.
I just thought that Romano had some damage from his spin earlier, and all this is played perfectly into the hands of Hadi Noah Mamasi, who is now applying the pressure to Jeffrey Ross, who has been able to watch all of this unfold in his wing mirrors. He's done very well to keep Hadi Noah Mamasi behind him for the time being. I really thought that it just was Romano going off. Maybe he had some damage from his incident there, but I didn't expect Lawrence De Vlieger to just absolutely assassinate him into the corner. Nothing Romano could have done whatsoever. Here we see Jeffrey Ross defending from Hadi Noah Mamasi, but you get the feeling that Hadi Noah is going to set this move up very nicely as we're at the 12-kilometre point of the circuit. Jeffrey Ross will lose the lead of this race. Not much of a fight in it there. I think he knows the pace that Mamasi does indeed have, and he takes to the grass himself. That allows for Corey Lazarus to go through.
Yeah, however, I am going to say this. Look at the right-hand side of Corey Lazarus' car. There is plenty of damage there. No paint on it at all. One side nice and shiny, the other a carbon grey. So, how is that going to be in effect for Corey? Because he's got to do another 2.5 laps of this. So, surely he is going to be wrestling with that car quite a bit. As that is Chris Van Gucht as they get a tow back to the pit lane. This is the replay of what happened here. Is it on their own or is it contact with the car behind? Through the right-hander. It looks like it's going to be on their own. A little touch of the curb. And through the... Oh, what on earth? That is a lock-up and a half.
A big lock-up there. Just completely puts it in the wall. I don't think that was really necessary to get that towed. But nevertheless, he's back into the pits. And this has really been... a lot more of a scrappy start than what we saw. We see 5 drivers out of this race. Max Engstrom never started. Romano, Van der Klei, Oliver, Van Gucht and De Vlieger all out of this race. Here we are checking in with Ryan Walker, who's been very quiet so far this evening. He is defending from Yannick Muhleman and Hugo Allen, who of course went off earlier on. Yannick Muhleman, after such a strong effort in the second race, the first race, has now had it completely undone. He was involved in the drama in the first couple of corners. He's got Hugo Allen for company, who's really applying the pressure in the number 17 machine. Mathieu Collin in front of them has a slow down penalty. Felix Votter has been able to get through on Jeffrey Ross further up the field. And so, yeah, this race has really just been absolute chaos, and it's more as Jeffrey Ross is struggling to keep it on the circuit. He's been overtaken by Bernardo Faria. Bernardo Faria, by the way, up 19 places in this race. Incredible.
And for anybody just tuning in and wondering what they missed, race number 1 was nice and clean, somewhat, with Mamasi holding on to it and taking it all the way to the win. It would start to unravel a little bit in the final few corners for some of the drivers on the race 1, but pretty clean across the board. Race number 2, speaking of which, that sums it up perfectly, as Verstappen is in the barrier there, so that is not what they would have hoped for. But opening lap, massive free car crash at turn number 1. And we would also get a car going airborne and hitting a shot, as we see. Oh, that's just second carousel biting.
Yeah, that's on the bumps there, and I think he must have misjudged the throttle. That's not what you want to see from Jelle Verstraeten, but he is now down the order. Here is Luke Andrews. He's just lost a place to Bernardo Faria, who is now up 20 positions in this race. A spectacular showing from him. Maiko Van Look has got Miles Hemming for company, and Van Look gets that a little bit wrong through the final braking zone. Now he's feeling the pressure from Hemming, who's also done a spectacular job to make his way back up through the field, and maybe, just maybe, their incidents in the first race were a blessing in disguise, because of course you get much less points in the sprint race or the first race than you do in the main race. So it's all about where you finish today. Van Look will look back up the inside into the first corner. Yannick Dinish trying to find his way in this battle as well. Miles Hemming will have the inside for the long-winded left-hander of turn number 2 and will remain in P10. Here is Hugo Allen, and I think that is him maybe giving up there. Let's see what happened down at turn number 1.
I think it's... Oh, there may be contact actually on the rear end. Hugo Allen's going to keep it tidy as they head down into the braking zone. And he just heads straight on. It's either he has decided that a race is no longer what he wants, or he might be out of fuel. Which... There's no way he's out of fuel, which apparently the rear wheels are going. See the rear wheels spinning there? That is really weird.
That might be some hardware issue possibly with him. Maybe he's had some sort of fault in his wheel, and it looks to be the pedals that are the problem. Nevertheless, he's trying to get the car going again. But that might be hardware related. I have no idea for Hugo Allen. He has now got the car towed and he is out of this race. We are checking back in with Gordon Marshall, who was involved in that lap 1 incident, but he's been able to recuperate the positions and he's avoided the massive incidents that we've seen so far today, as we are now on lap number 2. He's right up behind Angelo Laversa at the minute. And this has been a very good day for Gordon Marshall, as it has been for Angelo Lavers. These two have been able to stay out of the incidents, which at a circuit like this, I mean, it's aptly named by Jackie Stewart, I believe in the late 60s, as the Green Hell. And that name really has just stuck because it is exactly that. This circuit is terrifying as they go over the jump at the crest of the hill. Gordon Marshall gets the car stopped in time. This circuit really does bite.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen it bite once or twice. Is it going to bite again? For the driver's sake, I definitely hope not, but never say never at Nords. It is down and into the left-hander, heading through a corner I can never remember the name of, so I'm just going to call it Beach, as they head through the right-hander, and you can already see the gravel on the circuit being thrown up there from the collision that we had on lap number 1. We're on lap number 2 here at the Nordschleife, and this is Marshall as we still watch them come through. And as they head under and through, they've got Angelo Lorisa just in front of them as well into the braking zone. And I am going to try and remember, I believe this is YouTube, but YouTube may be a different corner.
I have no idea, and I'm not going to try, because this circuit, I mean, I'm familiar with it, of course. Who isn't familiar with the Nordschleife? It's one of the most iconic circuits around the world, but it is just so complicated to get all of the corner names right. And I think the carousels are the only corner I really recognise, and I even got that wrong. I mixed them up, so I'm not the right person to come to. I'm sure there's someone who knows every single corner in and out, and to race around this track, that is exactly what you have to do. Credit to all of these drivers today, because this is 8 laps of remembering where to brake, where to accelerate, how hard you want to turn the wheel, where there are bumps around this track. I mean, it is so difficult to learn everything, and it feels like at some points these guys are just going based off of feel alone, as Yannick Denish and Maiko Van Look, they do a little bit of battling. Of course, Hugo Allen was involved in this scrap, now no longer. He is out of this race, making it another DNF here today. Although I think Van der Klei has been able to keep on going. Very nice to see from him. Here he is, back out on circuit. He's got a black flag. That'll be a drive-through penalty, I believe, for him. So a day to forget, definitely.
Yeah, definitely a day to forget. I believe it's Bluchen where YouTube corner is. I totally didn't Google that. But it is now making the way through Faria on the podium. Corey Lazarus is all over the back of him, though. So the Brazilian driver against the man from the land down under. So this is definitely a fight, considering that this would be pretty hard to do across the world.
Absolutely, and we saw, oh dear, here's another incident. It's Max Devanchani pulling off to the side. I think he's able to keep on going. He's got some dirty tyres, and we'll try and get that one up to temperature again. But we saw earlier on, actually, Hugo Allen blinking in and out of existence a little bit. Of course, himself and Corey Lazarus, both of them are from New Zealand, so they're racing across the world at the minute. I don't dare to think what time it is over there at the moment, but these guys, they must wake up so early. 5 o'clock, I'd imagine that's in the morning, if I'm not mistaken. That is...
Yes, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. Well done, guys. Thank you for turning up today. Thank you to all of our drivers and all the viewers at home. This race really has been incredible to watch.
Yeah. As these drivers is absolutely amazing. If you can hear keyboard clicking, no you can't. Apparently it's 9:51 at the moment in New Zealand.
That's not so bad, I guess, on a Tuesday morning for them. Nevertheless, it is still an ungodly distance that we are racing from here today. Here is Angelo Lavers defending from Gordon Marshall, who sticks a nose up the inside, and they make contact again. Gordon Marshall goes down the inside, and I think he might have just outbroke himself a little bit. And oh dear, that is painful. This rear-wheel drive car will not get you anywhere. This is the best advert in the world for four-wheel drive. Spin the tyres again to prove it. He's beached himself on the curb. That is a nightmare situation for Gordon Marshall. He's going to have to get that towed. There's no way he can get it going again.
Unless there's a tap, which we don't hope for, and that is the tow. So that is how it sets up. And apologies, it is 6 o'clock in the morning when we got started here for the Australians, and now down the inside is Andrews defending. Van Vielen is going to get the move done. and that is going to be that. I got thrown off because our clocks went back as they head now down into the second carousel. So they are doing pretty well so far, I would say, Van Vielen. They're holding their own out there. It seems to me that the top 5 has been top 6 has been pretty consistent. P7 downwards is where we've seen all the drama unfold.
Oh yeah, it has been a nightmare situation for any midfield driver in this race. The Pro-Ams have been absolutely gutted in this race. Van der Kleij's had an incident, he's back on circuit. Max Nevinciani has another accident down at wherever he is on circuit. He's all the way down in 16th position at the minute. This is at the second carousel, I think. And oh dear, that's not the type of speed you want to take through that corner. That has messed him up ever so slightly. He's hit the wall once again. Difficult race for Max Nevinciani after a decent running last time out in Imola. I think he'll be wanting to move on very swiftly to the next race. Of course, we head to Road America next time out in 2 weeks' time, and that'll be so exciting. We are now beginning the final lap of this race. Memasi still ahead of Felix Votter at the minute. We are watching the battle between Yannick Muhleman and Mathieu Collin, headed down to the first corner.
Yeah, this is going to be definitely an interesting one. Van Vielen did get past Corey Lazarus. You saw it on the left-hand side of your screen in the timing tower where you see the lap times pop up. We are getting very quick around here, if I do say so myself. Still 8 minutes, though, so if we're going by that, about 8, maybe 7 minutes left in this race for the drivers up at the top of the circuit. But Muhleman is making their way through. Collin just behind. So they're fighting all over the place. Bernardo Faria, he's got a job ahead of him because he's got Van Vielen, Lazarus and Andrews all astern. So he's going to have a job to do through the Nordschleife. It's green hell, but no better place to defend, I would say, as it is pretty blind at some corners. Heading now down and through, up through the right-hander, into the chicane. Keep it tidy, I would say. Then it is the defensive game for Faria.
Absolutely, what a race Faria has had. He's up 21 spots in this race. He's been so good. He's just been able to stay out of all the drama, but that's not to say he's not made any moves, because we've seen him overtake Lazarus. He's through on Van Vielen as well, and now he's got to do a fantastic job, the best job he can, of defending this one here as they take to the beginning of the Nordschleife configuration. Van Vielen is all over the rear of him, in towards the corners they go now, slaloming through this short little S's section. Bernardo Faria doing everything he can to make his Porsche 911 922 Cup configuration car as wide as possible for this final lap of this race. And Van Vielen takes a little excursion to the grass that will allow for Faria to breathe ever so slightly, but don't count out anything happening at this track.
Yeah, never count out as they head up through flood parts. You see Lazarus in the background, and as he continues his way through, so does Andrews. The gap open up a little bit for Faria. Van Vielen chasing him down. Those headlights definitely on. I think one thing we can appreciate here about the Nordschleife tonight is that it's not in the darkness. It is not fun to drive in the dark, as Marshall is on pit lane exit. Van den Klee is making his way around still, although with a black flag at the current moment. So that is definitely unfortunate for him, using these curbs and right over the bumps as it gets ever more bumpy as you head deeper into the circuit. More graffiti starts to appear, but that's what gives the Nordschleife its character. Into the right-hander, then into the little wiggly bits as you head through, and try not to lose it too much on the curb as you continue deeper and deeper. We're getting towards the end of this as Memasi has a little ride up at the top. He's enjoying life at the moment. However, Votter does close it in a little bit. I'm just watching the timings, but it's staying pretty consistent at the moment. But it's continuously going further and further. A grid split of 2 minutes 40 seconds at the current moment. And this is a little bit further back. This is Navarro de Buva and Verstappen.
Yeah, absolutely, as this is down in 14th position, but this is actually for the win in the amateur category, so there's quite a lot at stake here. in terms of the Amateur Championship, as Van Thielen and Faria are battling it out further up the order. Here is Van Thielen making the move. He's ahead. Slight bit of contact as Faria is all out of sorts. This could open the door for Corey Lazarus if he wanted to, but he will not try for the move just this time by Luke Andrews. Has all of these guys in front of him. There is Jentel Van Thielen, though, ahead and through on Bernardo Faria, who did his best to defend that position, but it wasn't to be in the end. They've just got to get it to the line. That is the main thing. You want to score the points, of course. You want to be ahead of your rivals, but you wouldn't be a racer if you didn't want that. But there comes a point where you have to think about actually finishing the race, and judging by how this race number 2 has gone, anything and everything will happen. At the aptly named Green Hell, Jentel Van Thielen, though, he's done a stunning job to get back through. These guys are miles behind the leaders at the minute as they all punch up. Bernardo Faria, he's going back through. They're still side by side. Corey Lazarus as well trying to get involved. Faria around the outside. Van Thielen holds on for now.
They are having an absolute proper one as they continue here at the Nordschleife. This battle is going to be for the final place on the overall and pro podium, don't forget. So Jentel Van Thielen, one mistake and it is going to cost him. He sits with Freya Stern, Faria, Lazarus, Andrews down into the carousel on the final lap here at Nords. Up and through, you see the elevation change and the banking. It is forever iconic with this circuit as they head in towards the end of it. As they continue, they're still fighting and they are loving it. Mr. Mealy, followed by Felix Votter and then Van Thielen for the pro. Then Andrews, Danish and Ross for Pro-Am. Then Am is Debova, Verneston and Navin Shani. So that's the top 3 for all your categories here tonight, as it goes a little bit overcast here at the Nordschleife as we come towards the end of this lap. But these drivers are having it one for all. 4 different nationalities, 4 different drivers in one same type of car. It's the best of the best, and it's come to fight.
It's all going to come to a head as we are winding down in this race. Van Thielen did a spectacular job to get through on Bernardo Faria, but approaching the last sectors of this circuit, particularly that long back stretch, I think Bernardo Faria is going to have a nice job there. Oh dear, they make a little bit of contact. Faria has to cut the grass and he gets a slow down penalty. That could kill the battle and he might even lose the position to Corey Lazarus. But Van Thielen makes a mistake in his own right, as does Lazarus. They're all tumbling over each other, trying everything that they can. Now Luke Andrews trying to find his way in this fight. Brilliant stuff. Luke Andrews is right on the rear of Corey Lazarus, but I think he might just back out for now. I mean, all 3 of these guys make massive errors.
And look in the background, look who has arrived. You see him there for a moment. I don't know if they probably won't catch up towards the end of this lap, but that opened it up. Hemming is 3 seconds behind. He could have caught up even more there. Did somebody drop a banana because it was slip and slide through Foxhole? Who knows how this race can possibly end? It's down the back stretch. They are pretty far behind the leaders who are coming towards the end. The weaves begin to kick in. Andrews on the back of Corey Lazarus. One move to the left-hand side. He's going to go for the move here. And he is going to get ahead down the back straight, but it's not over till it's over. Corey's still going to come on him. Now in the slipstream of Faria. Down towards the final few corners. This is the Nordschleife and it's at its finest.
What a brilliant circuit, what a brilliant race we've seen. Faria, I think, will be able to hold on. Hadi Noah Mamasi, meanwhile, off-screen, wins this race ahead of Felix Votter. Jentel Van Thielen will finish in P3, and Faria will hold off Luke Andrews, who's able to get through on Corey Lazarus at the final hour, as they're still battling it out further back behind. This is Verstraeten and De Boerva. I believe this is Verstraeten has been able to get ahead of De Boer headed in towards the last 2 corners, but De Boer looks for a move. This is for the win in the amateur category as they're side by side headed towards the final corners in this race. De Boer has made the move. They've made contact and jumping over the curve. Oh my goodness me, they're both off and around. Who's going to be able to make it to the line? Yellow Stratton's kept the car running. I think Navarro De Boer has made the move. Yellow Stratton, he's going to struggle to the line. He's 40 seconds clear of Nevin Charney. Navarro De Boer will take the win in the amateur category, maybe with some tainted hands there. Yellow Stratton will crawl to the line in second position in the AMS. He's 15th overall. I think I can lower my voice. I'm hoping I can lower my voice because, oh my goodness me, that's kicked off at the end there.
So, what on earth? Chaos at the end, at the dying embers, but I apologise for the screams if you have headphones on. But that was an end to a race. Here comes Nevin Charney. Thankfully, Verstappen had a big enough gap after that contact. Nevin Charney will come to the line here. P number 16 and P number 3 in the amateur class. We've still got Loris Marshall and Van der Klee to come to the line. There is Anglo Larusa, the Dutch driver, making their way through as they continue here, having a very nice time. Seems like they have just about avoided all the chaos tonight, so who knows at the end of the day. Nordschleifer, I say as they avoided all the chaos, there is damage on the rear left of that car. Take back my statement. As they come to the line, I'm just going to give a massive props to all these drivers. Was there contact? Yes, but have they been able to survive all the way to the end of this race? Also, yes.
Of course, Angelo Laverse was the driver to get involved with Gordon Marshall. They were actually fighting, I believe, for 8th position overall. Here is Gordon Marshall coming towards the line now. He will finish 18th overall, and then we'll just wait for Bas van der Klee. We do have a couple of drivers in the waiting room for an interview, so we will hopefully be able to talk to them if we've got enough time. Nevertheless, Van der Klee will be the last one to come across the line. We did lose Hugo Allen, Lucas Romano, Dante Oliver, Chris Van Gut and Lawrence de Vlieger in this race. It was a bloodbath compared to the first running today. But it is again another win for Hadi Noah Mamasi. We have had 6 races. We've had 3 sprints and 3 main races this season at the Red Bull Ring, Imola and Nordschleife. Hadi Noah Mamasi has won every single one of them. You got to give credit, though, to Felix Votter today. I think he really did. I think he had the pace. I think on any other day, if Mamasi made one more mistake, Felix Votter would have been there and he would have taken the lead. But it's, of course, a would-have, could-have, should-have situation for him. It's not the reality, but give credit where it's due. Van der Klee will come to the line. What a race that was today. And I think we can get a look at the results before hopefully getting an interview. Here is the pro category. Hadi Noah Mamasi wins another race this season. Felix Votter finishes in 2nd. Jentel Van Tielen rounds off the podium ahead of Bernardo Ferrer, who got a slow down right at the death of the race. And maybe, just maybe, if he didn't have that, he'd have been close enough to mount a move on that last straight. Corey Lazarus finishes in 5th. 6th was Miles Hemming, and we lost Hugo Allen in this race. In the Pro-Am category, it did not look close for Luke Andrews. He finishes 6.6 seconds ahead of Yannick Denish in this race. And Jeffrey Ross, your pole sitter in this race today, finishes in P3 in the Pro-Am category. Yannick Muehlemann finishes in 4th with Maiko Van Look, kind of absent today, honestly, in 5th position. 6th place was Matthew Collin, and Ryan Walker comes in 7th. Angelo Laverse and Gordon Marshall, they were involved in some incidences together. They finished 8th and 9th, and rounding off the top 10. And the last of the finishers is Bas van der Klee. We lost Lucas Romano, and of course Max Engstrom never got going. And in the amateur category, a very controversial finish. I'm sure the stewards will be very, very busy after this one. Navarro de Barva does win ahead of Yelava Stratton, and then the last of the finishers, Max Nevenchani, essentially gets a podium by default. Chris Van Gucht finishes, he doesn't finish at all, he is DNFing alongside Lawrence de Vlieger and Dante Oliver. But before we bring in our winners in category, we just need to have one more moment to digest that race, because oh my word.
Yeah, I think simple way to put it is 24 hours of Nordschleife in 2 races over 6 laps. I think that's a simple way to put it, because the amount of stuff that we saw usually happens at the 24 hours of Nordschleife on the exact same level. So I think that's the easiest way to summarize it all.
Absolutely. And let's get going with the interviews. We will bring in, I think, our pro winner first. We'll drag in Hadi Noah Mamasi to the Discord call. Hadi Noah, can you hear me, my friend? Are you here?
Yes.
Okay, what can we say about that race? Let's talk about your qualifying first. You were uncontested around 1 lap. I think you were at minimum 1.8 ahead of the nearest competitor to you. How does it fit? How are you feeling coming into this race about this circuit?
Coming into it, I knew it was going to be quite chaotic, as it was in the main race on lap 1. But yeah, I just tried to make sure I got a good lap in for quali, and the lap was all right, I guess. I made a bit of a mistake in the GP section, but apart from that, the lap was pretty decent.
Yeah, and I mean, you were able to convert it to a win in the sprint race. Felix Votter did keep you company throughout it, but heading into the sprint, of course, you started in 8th position. It all kicked off at turn number 1. You looked up the inside of Gordon Marshall. I think he overcorrected, and all chaos ensued. How were you looking to make your way through the field on that first lap?
Yeah, I was just sort of waiting for I was going to try make some moves at turn 1, and then mainly wait for the straights where the draft is like a lot. So, and then, yeah, I mean, luckily they crashed to the left, came back to the right. So that was quite good for me.
Yeah, I think that completely changed the trajectory of your race. I mean, you were 4th position from that point onwards, and then it was just picking them off one at a time. But now in this season, 3 races down, 3 to go, you have won every single race so far. Do you think the clean sweep's on the card?
Well, I'd hope so. It would be nice, but I'm just going to go for the championship. We're not too worried about the clean sweep, but if I can get it, it would be nice.
And Road America, I said it was. It's actually Road Atlanta we're heading to next. How are you feeling over there?
Yeah, it's a nice track. The toe is nowhere near as much as it is here, so I'm looking forward to that track. It's a nice track.
Well, that is all from us tonight. Thank you once again for joining us. I'd imagine this is most certainly not going to be the last time that we hear from you this season. So, once again, everyone at home, Hadi Noah Mamasi, your race winner again this season. So, that concludes the first of 2 interviews that we've got. Unfortunately, we've only got time for 2. Let's drag in Luke Andrews. Alexa, I'll hand the reins over to you to talk to Luke.
Luke Andrews, you are live on Apex Racing TV. Can you hear us?
Hello, yes I can. Hi guys.
Welcome into the commentary box. Let's go through this real quickly then. So talk us through your qualifying, because it looked pretty decent from your part, especially considering the result tonight.
Yeah, it was alright. I think, around here it's so easy to get an off track or just mess up your lap in general, really, because it's such a long lap. So my kind of target was to, obviously wanted to try and be at the front of Pro-Am, but I just wanted to make sure that I put myself, in contention, because it's also very hard to overtake around here. So if I'd put myself at the back, it would have been a struggle. So it was just kind of to get myself top 5 at least. I was kind of happy within Pro-Am, really, I guess.
Yeah, and we just got the perspective from the race leader, so we'll get your perspective as well. Race number 2, opening lap, opening corner. What was that like from your perspective? As of course, it looked like George Marshall did overcorrect.
It was scary. I knew that the pro guys were going to come at us like off the start. They don't hang about, and I just wanted to try and stay alive. And I kind of was putting myself in there in turn one, but then Mamasi came up the inside. I left a bit too much space there, so then I just kind of backed out of it and just let it kind of unfold. And obviously that was the right decision in the end, because I think Gordon looked like he drifted left across someone's bonnet from what I saw, and then he just disappeared, and I had clear track on my left, so it worked out all right for me, but not for those guys, unfortunately.
Yeah, about 2 others got caught up in that opening lap, so it seemed like you got a little bit lucky there to avoid it all. Talk us through chasing down the rest of the pack, because looking on the screen right now, you were right in the middle of it.
Yeah, both races were intense. I knew they would be. I mean, it's obviously the pro guys are super fast, and the guys at the front end of Pro-Am are very quick as well. So like the first race, I just couldn't break the toe to Yannick and Gordon. So that was good fun. Like, it was very tactical between the 3 of us, and I managed to just about get enough space at the end and then defend into the last corner. Got away with that one, and then in race 2, I managed to get away from the Pro-Am field a little bit, luckily, and I kind of tried to use the pro guys to tow me along, and that worked pretty well. So yeah, race 2 was a little bit easier from my perspective than race 1, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. And just one final question for you. Road Atlanta is coming up next. How are you feeling about that circuit?
I really like Road Atlanta, but there's definitely prospect for some big crashes and stuff there. We all know how sketchy that track can be, so I'm sure it will be an interesting one, and another case of trying to survive, I guess, and keep in the championship.
Well, fair enough. Congratulations on your result tonight. We shall let you go.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you to Luke Andrews and Hadi Noah Mamasi for joining us in the commentary box for an interview. Unfortunately, we don't have time to talk to Navarro de Bova, and I would have loved to have talked to him after the drama in the amateur category. But that is all that we have time for today. We are now at the halfway point of the season, and as previously stated, it has been dominated by one man. How will things change, or will it be the status quo at Road Atlanta? We'll have to find out in 2 weeks' time. I've been Dan Field. Alongside me in the commentary box is Alexa Marshall, and thank you to Samuli Kumo in the production side of things. That is all from the Green Hell at the Nordschleifer. What a fantastic evening of racing we have had, and we will see you stateside next time out at Road Atlanta. But for now, thank you and good night.